I just want to clarify, because again, I learned that new hockey term in the last segment. How did we describe the goal that went in from the blue line? What is that technical term for hockey?
Snorter, I believe is what you called it.
Yeah. A snorter.
Kind of snorted its way in there.
Well, I'm excited to find out more about what it felt like to snort that game-winning goal into the net and send the Badgers to the Frozen Four.
If they win this championship, is this about as improbable of a championship as we've seen in for when, right? Like probably 2010. This would actually be very similar to the Packers.
Since the team you were last on.
Yeah, where you're kind of left for dead, and then all of a sudden you're resurrected like Lazarus and Jesus and the whole deal.
Are we comparing?
Well, we got 2 more games to win. Let's get to
Jesus?
Ben. Let's get to Ben to see, because we still got 2 games left, but it's that time of the year for some of us, right?
Yeah, give Ben a break here, man. I mean, he's a captain. He scored the game-winning goal, but let's leave him out of the New and Old Testament for a minute.
He is risen indeed.
There we go.
Joining us now on the Yuengling guest hotline, Yuengling, the oldest brewery in America, although not as old as Lazarus and Jesus, and officially now in Wisconsin, 6 generations, family-owned and operated, DG Yuengling and Son, Pottsville, PA. Enjoy responsibly. Even though our interviews apparently are not especially responsible, it is Ben Dexheimer on Wilde Tausch. Ben, first, welcome. Second, sorry. Our introduction was not the probably best one you've ever gotten. Let's start here. Tausch called your goal a snorter. He claims that is a hockey term. Is that, in fact, a hockey term? I go to the Badgers captain for the answer.
I was listening before I got on. To be honest, I'd never heard of a snorter before, but I'm open to adding it to the long list of hockey terms.
Yeah, Ben, it's basically you put it on net and it just finds a way in there. You know, there's tips and there's all the stuff that you guys practice. I've seen where Joe Pavelski will sit there in front of the net and just blick, 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 and work it. This was one of those you just ripped it. You know, in baseball, as a rip snorter, this just snorted its way. Sure. I don't know how, but it did. Did you think when you ripped it that it was going to go in?
No, I don't think I was thinking much at all, to be honest. And it just kind of zipped off my stick, and I
snorted,
think got a
some would say.
bounce.
Yeah.
Snorted off my stick, and got a fortunate bounce, and it went in. So it was really fun.
How can you kind of go through, because I think for all of us that have played sports, you can sometimes get your dauber down a little bit. You guys are down 3-1, and I don't. How did you guys all kind of keep it together? You know, it's obviously it's a big game, but can you just take us inside the mentality? Is it let's just get one to put more pressure on? Because I've always thought it was a dumb thing. My son plays a lot of hockey, that a 2-goal lead is the worst lead in hockey. Everybody says that. I'm like, well, no, a 1-goal lead would be worse. But in this case, that pressure just can you kind of just take in the psyche of how your team approached that stretch?
Yeah, we our biggest thing was just focusing on the next shift. We preach that the past is in the past and can't really do anything about that. So focus on the next shift. And honestly, I think the biggest thing was the belief throughout the locker room, on the bench. And if you were on that bench, you would feel it never left, whether we were down 1, down 2. And once we got that first one, when Ozzy scored, I think we all were like, wow, we're going to do this thing. And then Gav went out there. Fitzy made an unbelievable play. We got the third one to tie it up. And in the locker room, in between the third and overtime, there was zero panic, which just shows this group and how calm they are under pressure, how confident we are in our ability. And then we went out there and we got the job done, which was a blast.
So, Ben, when Tausch says that about the 2-goal lead, as someone who covered Jeff Sauer's teams and all kinds of Badger hockey before you were born, which makes me feel great, I think the point is exactly what you just talked about, right? You get that first goal to cut it to 1 goal, and you guys are feeling it, right? And the momentum is suddenly shifted to you guys. Could you sense that from as the captain, could you sense that from your guys the minute that second goal went in?
100%. I honestly feel like the momentum was the biggest thing. And when you have that in a game of that stature, it's a pretty special feeling because you're just rolling, and it's just kind of you're waiting for the time for it to go in because we knew we were winning that game when we got the third one, and I think that's the fun thing about momentum and the fun thing about this sport is just that's how it works, and we were fortunate enough to get the job done in overtime.
So Ben Tausch said, we've all played sports at different levels.
Yep.
My greatest sports accomplishment was a home run in a varsity baseball game, which we lost 13-2. That's not really a big deal, right?
Yep.
Scoring the game-winning goal to send your team to the Frozen Four, whether it's a snorter or not, is a big blanking deal. So take us through your emotions from when it leaves the stick to when you realize it's hit the back of the net and what that was like for you.
Super special. This program deserved to go to the Frozen Four, and I think I let it. My winger got cut on the wall, and I let the puck go. I thought any shot in overtime's a good shot, even if I didn't see any red jerseys in front of the net. But yeah, I shot it. I saw it trickle in, and I think I blacked out a little bit. But I turned towards the boys on the bench, and I don't have too deep of a celebration bag, so I think I just jumped about 3 feet in the air and threw my hands in the air and was just like, we're going to Vegas. So I was super pumped.
How do you guys go about the celebration game? Because I've been watching a lot of high school hockey this year, and there's the skeet shoot where you throw stuff up, and they put a lot of time and effort into it. Obviously, as the captain, you have other things you got to worry about, but who on your team is the most, I guess, prepped for when they have that big moment, are going to have the best celebration?
I think the two unanimous answers on the team would be Quinn Finley and Adam Patilla. Adam Patilla will celebrate a puck off his shin guard in practice on a random Wednesday, so he knows how to celebrate when he scores. And Quinn Finley, he scores as much as anyone in the country, so you can see that when he does in the games, he's got a couple different tricks up his sleeve.
So, speaking of Quinn, I met him. He was with Oz and Granado when he came to a Packers practice. You're a Minnesota guy.
Yep.
I assume they didn't bring you to a Packers practice when they were recruiting you. That was not part of the game plan?
No, I don't know if that would have been the smartest recruiting. Not that they needed to make any big moves to get me here, but no, I did not get invited to the Packer game.
So the reason I bring that up is because Tausch and I were talking before we brought you on about the Packers 2010 team that he was on, really being left for dead at one point that season. And you guys, maybe not inside your locker room, but certainly lots of us on the outside when you're going through tough times aren't thinking, yeah, this is a Frozen Four team, baby. I'm wondering, what is it like? You just had a great line about making sure, the past is in the past, and that's your attitude as a group. But what was it like during that stretch to keep the faith and to keep believing, especially when guys are looking to you? That's the reason why you have the C on your chest.
Yeah, I think there were two moments that stand out. It was the 6-game skid we went on kind of in the second half of the year. And getting out of that, I think, was one of the biggest things for our team because it showed that, one, we weren't dead, but two, we still do have the ability to compete and win against these top teams in the country. We showed it in the first half, and we battled out of that hole of those 6 losses and came out on the top end. And then I think the second moment that everyone kind of would talk about was just the Ohio State Big Ten quarterfinal game, and that's been hard. They've been a thorn in our side for the last 3 years, and not being able to get it done again kind of was, I think, deflating for us and then deflating for the fans and the media outside. And I think that's another moment when everyone kind of left us for dead. But we just go back to just winning the hour and a half, 2 hours you're at the rink every day. And we had a long 2-week break after that Ohio State game, and we didn't just kind of roll over and say, hey, let's see where the chips fall in Worcester or wherever we were going to play in the regional. We went to work, and we believed that if we trust the process, that we know what talent we have in our locker room. So it wasn't what we were missing. It was just putting the pieces together, and that's what we did in those 2 weeks, and it paid off in Worcester.
Ben, that had to be a tough spot because you guys were on the bubble, right? You didn't know for sure you're going to get in. Some things had to kind of fall your way, and that, brought back the 2010 where we had, Deshaun Jackson needed to return a punt in order to beat that team. So how difficult was that? And as a captain, after a tough loss like that, is it you go with a vocal approach? How did you kind of handle that? Because after that loss, there's all that doubt from the outside, and for as much as you can say that stuff has stayed out, when you have 2 weeks to process it, that's got to be a heck of a thing to keep that group together like you did.
Yeah, I think moments after a tough loss like that, especially at home, it's personally for me, I don't think it does too much good to just start talking right after the game. You got to allow the guys and even me to process something like that, and then I just kind of, we go with the 24-hour rule. We'll let it soak in, but the sun is going to come up tomorrow, and that's a new day that we can get better and we can learn from what happened the night before. But then when we were on the bubble waiting to get into the regional, we were all sweating those games out. We watched the ECAC final between Dartmouth and Princeton as a team, and it definitely wasn't an easy game to watch as Dartmouth won in overtime. And when they won, we were juiced because we knew we'd been putting the work in. It was just about getting our ticket into the tournament, and we got our ticket. And I think that's when we were like, all right, let's go do this thing.
And now off to Vegas. And I know it's not going to be a typical boys trip out to Vegas, but how excited is it that the Frozen Four is out there, and that's and just another opportunity to go and try and chase down this championship?
It's super exciting. Everyone, I think just the hype around it being in Vegas is really special. And like you said, it's not going to be a regular guys trip out there. It's a business trip. But if there's a year to win the national championship, I think it's this year being in Vegas. So, no, we're really excited, and a huge opportunity for the school, for our team, and it's going to be a fun first game against North Dakota.
So I'm assuming now if we go out there and get this done, you win your 2 games, the women have done their end, right? They've held up their end of the donkey with another championship. It's fair to say this is going to be hockey town, right? There's no denying that Wisconsin will be hockey town. You guys go finish this thing off.
Yeah, you can't deny the facts, right? If we get it done, and the women's team, obviously they're incredible and they got their business done, so we can go out there, and if we get it done, I think you can call this college hockey town.
And you think you'll swear again if you get this done? Will we see? Because we started to, I think, embrace that little because it's authentic. I know you can't do it on our show now because we'll get an FCC fine and we can't afford that. But on your end, that was just showed how raw all of that was after you did that.
Yeah, I'm going to try to keep it in the vault from here on out. But if it slips, I guess it slips. But yeah, it was. I think the adrenaline took over in that moment, and we had media training 2 days ago, right when we got back, and I don't know if that was because of my slip up or just in preparation for Vegas. But no, it's really exciting. We're super excited.
So all the boys had to go through a media seminar because you cussed after the game-winning goal.
I took a little bit of blame for it for sure, but I think it was just supposed to be preparation for Vegas. Yep.
Carter Booth did it too after they won the volleyball Elite Eight, so he's
part
not
of the
alone.
deal.
Yeah, you go to the Final Four, you swear.
Yeah.
Talking with Badgers captain Ben Dexheimer, who has kept it PG for us today. Did your parents get after you at all for swearing on national television?
No, honestly, I think they were just as excited as we won the game. But I think I could have said anything on there, and they would have just given me a hug. So
it's probably good they weren't mic'd up. They would have probably been worse than you.
Right. My dad was in the stands, and I'm glad he wasn't mic'd up.
So, Ben, Tausch mentioned this earlier, but we're at different points in our lives than you are. Like, when I was covering Badger hockey, I was going to the KK with Jason Zent and all those guys that were on that team, right? And now we're both dads. I do have to ask a dad question, which is, we both have kids that are athletes, and the idea of being the captain of a team, it's something that I know we talk about with our girls. The leadership required. You got to be really smart about how you go about executing it. And we've spent some time, too, on this show talking about Packers leadership and whether guys are vocal or not. What is your approach to that responsibility?
Yeah, it's been a learning curve leading at this level, but I think that at the beginning, I talked to Mike Vorlicki, who was my captain, who I respect a ton my sophomore year, and the biggest thing he said was, "Don't try to be anyone you're not." I'm not a huge hoorah, scream and shout guy. I'm more of a let's look at it logically, and we got to do our business and get in the ring, do what we need to do, and then get out. And so I think that if you were to ask guys around me, it's more of a softer approach, but obviously when things need to be talked about and we need to have the hard conversation, I'll be the first one there as well. But yeah, I think it's more of a support system for me. Guys need to know that they have a good handful of guys behind them, and it's not just me. It's been amazing with Schultze wearing an A, Joe Plotachuk, and Gavin Morrissey. They've been an unbelievable group to lead with. I piggyback off them day to day. They do the same with me, and I think we mesh well together, and I think that's been a good part of the recipe for success that's gotten us to where we are today.
Well, we're so happy that you snorted that goal in and sent your team to the Frozen Four. My last old guy question for you, though, you're from Edina, Minnesota, and every time I see that on a bio, I think of the Mighty Ducks and the kid coming over from the arch rival team and getting called a cake eater when he goes into the locker room. For those that are not native Minnesotans, what the hell is a cake eater, and why do you guys get called that all the time?
To be honest, I really don't know. I think it's more they think that just to start it off, I'm not from there anymore. We moved a couple of years ago, but
Okay.
I think a cake eater is just kind of you get everything handed to you.
Yeah.
It's easy. It comes easy to you. But that program is super historic, and they've won. My brother actually won the state tournament, the Minnesota State tournament there in 2024. So they do have a winning history, and I think that's another reason why guys don't like them is because they do just win.
But their mascot is not a big piece of cake or anything.
No, it's a hornet. It's a hornet.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Just to clarify, Ben, I appreciate you making time for us. I know, when the Badger Herald or Daily Cardinal comes to talk to you, it's a little different than two old dudes. But this was so much fun, and we are so happy for you. We're both obviously supportive of Badger hockey, and we wish you nothing but the best in Vegas. And if you can snort in a couple more game winners, gosh darn it, go for it, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'll start trickling snorter into the locker room and see if it catches on.
See how it goes.
I love it. All right, Ben.
Yeah.
Safe travels, buddy. We appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
That is Badgers men's hockey captain and the scorer of the game-winning goal in overtime that sent them to Vegas, Ben Dexheimer.